Welcome to the Evolve WMMA podcast featuring the greatest upcoming female fighters on the planet. They are women who have gone against conventional thinking to pursue their dreams. These fighters inspire, empower, and unleash excellence within a new generation of female warriors as they rise and evolve into the best possible versions of themselves through the power of mixed martial arts. My next guest is a pioneer in women's mixed martial arts and has been very busy traveling since we last chatted back in September 2018 before her return to the Invicta cage, where she defeated Sarah Patterson with a TKO head kick. She has an upcoming match at Invicta FC 35 where she will be facing featherweight fighter Faith McMah. Hey, this is Evolve WMMA. I'm your host, Shelly Devine, and I'd like to welcome back to the show WMMA pioneer and Invicta FC featherweight fighter, Kaitlin, the striking Viking Rose Young. So welcome back, Kaitlin. It's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, so you had a massage, so you're feeling really relaxed. You got to have a half day from training today. It's a holiday weekend, so we're going to say a big thank you to your coach.
Right. I'm still supposed to run later, but it's lighter than usual, so I can't complain.
Yeah, so you've been very busy, very active since the last time we spoke. Last year, I think it was in September, and it was before your Invicta fight against Sarah Patterson, and I never really found out what happened to Zara. Like, why?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. And then somehow, even though she hasn't fought since 2017, she got signed to the UFC. We were supposed to fight on 35 originally, and then she got signed despite not having fought for a couple of years and dropping on me twice. So
wow. That's bizarre, right? That is bizarre.
There is.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. So, yeah. That's very interesting. So
I mean, can't blame her for taking opportunities that come to her, I suppose, but
yeah,
it's annoying.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
annoying as shit. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you work the way up the totem pole, and then boom, either that or she'll only have one fight up there, and then she'll, have to find something else to do or whatever. Who knows? I still don't. After the whole tough series on how they picked and chose the women for that tournament, I'm just like, I don't even know. Like,
I mean, that is sort of the silver lining, I suppose, is maybe a little bit more investment in the true 45s up there. So that is the good thing. They just signed Felicia.
Yes. I mean, she hasn't even had chance. She didn't even defend her title. I mean, the title's vacant, right? Like nobody, right?
Yeah. Now it is. Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
She won it and then went up there. And then, so that's that's something. At least there's movement at in the 145 division. And, so we'll see. We'll see what's coming down the pipe for the rest.
I know, and you have a big fight coming up on June 7th. You're going to face Faith McMah, who actually, she hasn't fought in a while either. So she's had...
Oh my gosh, yeah, her. Well, I know you're talking to her later today, but I fought for her that last fight. She was supposed to fight Kolesnik, and she came in... I wonder what happened there, because 10 is such a significant miss.
Oh, that's right. 10 pounds over, right?
Yeah, like I don't even know if it was Faith. I keep wanting to call her Faith Van Duyn because that's what I knew her as.
That's how I remember her too.
But I don't know like exactly what happened, but it wouldn't even surprise me if the commission puts kibosh on that, because man, she came in at like 156 point something. It wasn't even for a 145 fight. So, yeah, it makes me wonder if something is up, because that's so significant. Maybe there's a medical something or other going on.
Yeah, that is a significant, like, you didn't even come close.
Yeah,
You know?
but I'm excited to be fighting Faith. You know, I
Yeah.
have a ton of respect for her, and I've seen her, you know, still take fights when stuff's not perfect, which is something I respect a lot because you don't see
Mhm.
it a lot.
Right, right. Not anymore. Yeah, everybody wants that
Yeah,
perfect fight,
so
right?
it's pretty cool. I'm excited to be fighting her, and in a way, it sort of gives you more of a, oh, like this fight's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come hell or high water, it's going to happen, right?
Yep.
Which is awesome. I mean, it's awesome that you're not getting somebody thrown in just at the last minute. I mean, you
Hmm.
know, kudos to Sarah Patterson for stepping
Absolutely,
up.
that was awesome that
I
she was
mean,
willing to
that
step
was
up.
amazing, but you know, you know, like she's preparing for also for you. And I mean, I don't know what her background was and what fighters she had fought prior to, but I'm like, wow, you know, like to step up like that, so you would have a fight, you could get in there, you know,
Yep.
have the win and everything.
No, and that was so awesome that she jumped in.
Yeah.
I want to say she was. I don't know that she got matched, but I know they were looking to match her in kickboxing uh, for shortly after. So I'm not sure what ended up happening with that, or if she had to pull out to do that. But regardless, I appreciate it both from her and the promoter if they let her go to do it. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You are traveling.
yeah, I have been traveling a ton. Yep.
Yeah, and you were traveling with is it Fighters for Freedom, or is it under another name, Armed Forces Entertainment Tour?
Yeah.
Can you
So
share about that? That sounds fascinating to me. I don't know any fighters that
it's
have done
really
this before.
cool. Yeah. So Fighters for Freedom, sometimes like each individual tour will have kind of a tagline or name, but the tours themselves are under Armed Forces Entertainment, and it's usually 5 fighters and a tour manager. We go around to different bases. This time was the Middle East and Africa. The first time I went back in December was just the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And we hang out with the troops and roll with them, basically. And get to see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and get to see where they live and all that jazz. So
Yeah, I saw on one of your blogs you were saying, you know, where you've had this opportunity to travel and you see things from a different perspective, like, you know, from the States to actually being in a country that has issues, problems, and we as our country might have issues and problems with those countries. I don't know. And to see, okay, these are the reasons why decisions are made in these countries because of this, that, and the other thing. And how has it affected you as, you know, as a human being, like seeing certain things over in other countries and comparing, you know, when you come back, are you happy to come back and be here? Or are you like empathize with what goes on in the world and how things change for people generally?
yeah, absolutely. Like when you visit somewhere like Thailand, I'm happy to be home, but I like it there too. I miss it.
Yeah.
When I've come back from the Middle East, I want to kiss the ground. To be honest, it's especially seeing women. We were in, I forget what airport we were in, but there were women walking, you know, of course, a couple paces behind the men, and one girl, and she had to be young. You could tell by her voice, getting, you know, grabbed by the arm the way a parent might do to a really unruly child, and she's bawling, you know, and it's legal to beat your wife.
Wow.
So, you know, just seeing that, and we had driven through a Syrian, we were in Jordan this last time, and had driven through a Syrian refugee camp, and just seeing, you know, people getting out of a cattle car and trying to run across the highway with one suitcase and a bunch of little kids, you know, and it's sobering.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to see it on the news, but to have it right, you know, right in front of your vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. That is sobering for sure. I would be like, oh my God, I know when I saw things on the news, this was a long time ago, women being beaten. And I was like, I don't like it. I don't like even seeing, like, I lived in an apartment building, and there were, I guess, Muslim women in the burqas and coming down to the pool with their children, and they would be full garb, you know, and the kids could have shorts on and stuff, but you know, in the hot sun, and she's got to sit there with the kids. And then she got up and went to leave the kids there, which you can't do. And I'm thinking, why in this country are you living like that? You don't have to, you know, but it's just so ingrained. And that's just even them being here. And I'm
Yep.
like, over there, I can't even.
Yeah, it's, it just really makes you feel really fortunate to have been born here. We have our problems too, of course.
Yeah.
But, it's not like, I just can't imagine being that limited.
As a woman.
Because you're female, because you happen to be born female. Yeah.
Wow. When you were there with the soldiers and stuff, I mean, what was their take on all this? Like, because they've been there probably longer and seen more. And how do you think that affects them?
It's interesting. Like, some of the soldiers who haven't been there as long obviously don't have as strong of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't speak for everybody, but the general feeling is also, there are a lot of groups sort of just waiting to wreak havoc if the area isn't controlled. And that's what's been so difficult. The idea of trying to get out of there. I mean, I didn't realize to the extent that prior to going this last time, but in Egypt, we're basically sitting between Israel and Egypt. Like, do we have to separate you two? Mm-hmm. And we sit and enforce their treaty, that Jimmy Carter helped to negotiate. And we sit and count everybody's tanks, make sure everybody's doing things. Wow. In a lot of ways, we have a big hand in stabilizing, as stable as some of the area is. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so difficult when we talk about foreign policy and that kind of thing, is what happens if we are to leave those sort of places, because it doesn't take long. Unfortunately, it seems that the only people who have been able to rule are those that rule with an iron fist. Right. We don't like seeing some of the terrible cruelty that has happened there. But at the same time, I don't think it, and I shouldn't even say me, I'm sort of forwarding the opinion that I've heard from people with a lot of experience there. I don't think a lot of the cultures are going to be able to just take on a democratic system and have any kind of stable countries whatsoever.
Wow.
So it was difficult and eye-opening.
Yeah. So what, for you as a person, as a woman, what made you want to go there and partake in this tour?
Well, of course, I want to see the Middle East. I don't think I would go alone. But going with the U.S. military and a bunch of other fighters is a special case, it's really neat to be able to do something for our soldiers, because they do sacrifice an awful lot, as nice as some of the bases are, it's still a base. It's still away from home. They're still having to go outside to a different building to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Right. So, it's just one small way that we can give back and maybe give them something useful they can use if they need it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like you're there to, build spirits.
Yeah, boost morale. Yeah.
Morale. And, the guys are like, wow, you're a so-and-so fighter, all the people that are there. Like, I mean, all the fighters that went with you. And they.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, I like the group. I've really enjoyed both groups of fighters that have come. Mm-hmm. And then it's neat, too, seeing their jobs. Like, of course, I'm a dog lover, right? So I love going to visit the canine units. Yeah. And that's always really incredible, and the bomb guys and the Air Force, and it's just really neat. Yeah. Wow. It's neat to see the inner workings of things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We have a girl back here in the East, Sarah Click. She's fought for Invicta, I think Sarah. Sarah. And she's in the military, and she does she does a lot of crazy ass shit. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, like she does one of those things, I forgot what it's called, but like she'll go out of a helicopter and like head first on a rope go straight down. And I'm like, how? And I know her. And I'm like, you do that? And I'm like, how?
I know.
And I'm like, what do you think that, like when you see, like, I mean, you had opportunity to go to a lot of different things, people that work with bombs and, dismantle them.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're kind of crazy to get in a cage and like, go in.
But it's not. Yeah. I know what you mean, like, but it's not.
I know it's not, but but people would think that. And that's why.
Oh yeah. No, you're totally right. Like people think that's crazy. It's like one person, your own weight can only do so much to you with a ref,
Right. But then you're going out like, with these guys in the military and you got like, the bomb squad, and you're standing next to them and I mean, like, how do you compare notes there? Like, I mean, you're doing one thing that's kind of people think is like, okay, nuts, but
yeah,
you're doing, dismantling a bomb that could just, like go off. And it's like, did you notice any similarities when you're talking to these people? Like what were the similarities of mindsets and stuff?
High risk taking personalities, of course.
Yeah.
You don't get into fighting or dismantling bombs unless you're somebody who needs a little bit of thrill in your life to function.
Okay.
So, and I think probably the ability to compartmentalize pretty well, to manage your emotions in that way and just deal with what needs to be dealt with at the moment.
Wow.
I think, and to some degree being able to disassociate for hard training. There was one guy we met who was older and not actually old. He was 42 or 44, I forget, but he was a explosives guy and he was missing a calf. It got blown off. Luckily he had his leg.
Wow.
But what was interesting was like these guys would do CrossFit workouts and a couple of fighters went and did it with them. Mm-hmm. And this guy smoked it smoked everybody.
Really?
He's older. And what that is, you know what I mean? It's up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no reason.
Yeah. Wow.
He should be beating 25-year-old.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Guys. So I thought that was really fascinating and made a lot of sense maybe.
Wow. That is fascinating. I'm like, like just
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think there strangely is a fair amount of overlap in terms of like maybe types that get into.
Yeah, because there's got to be like an adrenaline rush and just like kind of liking a little bit of that or liking that a lot, and then how do you come back to I wonder for them too, how do they come back to their families if they're married, their children or whatever, if they see a lot of that stuff, and which is you get the PTSD stuff.
Yep.
When military men and women come back.
Well, and I think there's a really big loneliness component too. Mm-hmm. That because they get so tight knit with the other men and women they're serving with. I think it can feel really lonely. Oddly, even if they're coming home to a spouse, I think it can feel really lonely because it's not somebody who's had those same experiences, especially to your point, if they've been really traumatic. Right. So I think that is something that's really difficult for some of them, the camaraderie. And they, much like some fighters get in trouble when their career starts winding down. I'm sure the same is true with military people, Wow. Once that thrill is gone, now what? Now what do I do? So. Yeah,
it doesn't matter, I guess, what career you take. It's different degrees of dealing with these kind of issues, these emotions, and we all deal with them differently, and we all like to challenge ourselves or to feel certain, intensities, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like stepping in the cage, it's an intensity. There's an adrenaline rush. Somebody's going to try and pummel me and beat the shit out of me, and I'm going to go and try and do the same to them. Yeah. And I love this, but I'm like, there's some component we as human beings want to do this sort of stuff. And it's like, okay, what's this about?
Yeah. No, it's weird. I'll give you that.
It's weird.
It is weird. Especially when you take into consideration, like, I like most of the people I fought. I genuinely like them. Yeah. It's just, I don't think about the fact that I like them for those few moments. Right. Yeah. And, Yeah, it's interesting. I think with the military, there's got to be like, it's more to the nth degree. Obviously, when you're fighting somebody, you're not actually, the things are not nearly as severe or final as the stuff that's happening in the military, you know. But
oh yeah, totally. I mean, you're risking your life. You know,
yeah,
I mean, things could happen that could go wrong in the cage, but
it could, but it's not like,
yeah, you're not gonna.
most of the time somebody's dying in the military.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you're not dealing with the life or death that you would be in the military. So, I mean, did you have any experiences or any funny things that happened over there, or any like really kind of, you know, traumatic or anything over there, or was it basically a good time?
It was mostly a good time. Like I said, I think the things that really stuck out was seeing the refugee camp. This last one,
Mm-hmm.
you know, seeing that woman in the airport. One thing that was really fascinating, and partly because people are having this discussion about universal basic income. Did you know, I didn't know this until going over there, that Qataris get about $200K a year just for being alive?
No.
Yeah. So they have the world's largest natural gas stores, I guess.
Huh.
So in dividends, like ethnic Qataris make $200K a year. And it's amazing because in Doha, their capital city, they haven't had a violent crime since, it was like 2007 or 2004 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. There's no poverty. And if a foreign person does it, they just deport them.
Huh.
So it's a really strange little corner of the world. And they're far more progressive than most of the Middle East. They're sort of the redheaded stepchild, if you will. They get a lot of flack from other countries. But that was really fascinating.
How are the women treated there? Are they?
You know, we didn't get a ton of time out with the public, but I know the emir just gave his wife some massive multi-billion-dollar grant to facilitate more artwork by women. So
they are very progressive.
I don't think it's, you know, obviously not to the level of some Western countries, but it far more than one might expect.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like recently split off from Saudi Arabia of all places, you know.
Yeah, well, you're much more in depth in knowledge. Your knowledge is more in depth than what I know of that area for sure. But I applaud you for, you know, going over there, you know, and actually kind of being there and observing and seeing firsthand and not relying on, say, the news that we get back here. And you can make your own opinions, you know, like I think it's far better to go and visit these places and know what's actually really happening, and you see it and you're like, okay, I have an understanding of why this is the way it is. I mean, there are books that are written about it. There's, you know, but it's not the same as actually going and seeing and trying to solve the world's problems is always
it's always interesting, right? Well, and that's just it. It's like, why don't, you know, I can't tell you how many times I thought, well, why don't they just do this? And then you go there,
like, well, they got this, that, and the other thing going on.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, and we're just getting, I feel so fortunate to have been able to go, and we're just getting a small sliver of it. But it is really amazing to be able to see, you know, and just get a little taste of it, see what our military is doing, and these places that we are hearing about so much. But Qatar's an interesting place. Like their dairy industry too. There's something, I think Saudi Arabia tried to cut them off from dairy, and they're so loaded they just flew in a bunch of American dairy cows and made their own dairy industry. And what's so fascinating about it is I think even as fossil fuels, should fossil fuels run out, they're being innovative enough that I think Qatar's going to be just fine, because it's really interesting because they're not just relying on those things. They're developing other types of.
Sound like they have some intelligent people in that country.
Yeah, I think so.
Government officials or whatever. You know,
I think so.
They're actually trying to be more progressive and keep up with the global economy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really the crux of a lot of the stuff going on over there is it's mostly global economy based, frankly. You know, I would say even from what I understand about our involvement as well.
So you have a political tendency, like just from me sitting here. My daughter's like super political. Like she's always like, women's rights, and she's posting stuff and everything. And it appears that you have a lot of interest. Now, did you get that from your family, or is this just kind of, like just you, or you like the soul, one in the family that's, going out, I'm not saying being an activist of any kind, but you have political interests and you are globally and socially minded, that you want to hopefully create a better world for women in general and men too. But like, you're like, you get the girl thing, like, you're interested in women's rights, obviously, just by being empathic towards those women that were in the Middle East that you observed, being, kind of manhandled.
Yeah. Well, and I think like, if we want to talk the Gloria Steinem brand of feminism, it should be helpful for everybody. It's more or less, don't get so sucked into your gender role that you can't just be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't get so concerned about performing what you think you should be, and just be you, right? What makes you happy. But yeah, I suppose you could say I'm politically minded. My dad would talk at length about it, and any opinion you had is just fine. But you had to be able to back it up and deliver a solid argument. Why? That was kind of his thing.
Wow.
He'd be like, well, can you defend that? Even from when I was pretty young, I could have told you, like in first grade, I could have told you what constitutes conservative and liberal and everything in between.
It's so funny. I'm going to just make a little, my daughter knows all this stuff, and she's told me, I don't know how many times. Do you think? I just cannot retain it. It's in one ear, out the other. I'm like,
I think, if you don't,
I don't care,
Yeah, if you're not interested in it, it's like, it's boring as hell.
I don't know what a liberal is. I'm like, am I a liberal? I have no idea. It's just.
But it is, it is. I don't know. I do think there's a problem with people not thinking enough for themselves about issues. And because this is I think probably my conservative friends think I'm liberal, and my liberal friends think I'm conservative. I'm falling into one of those. But I think, instead of needing to be on team A or B, it's good to just really think through, how do you feel about something and why? And it sucks that we can't really vote that way a lot of the time, unfortunately. It's like it comes in a package, and it's the right or left, instead of more issue by issue stuff. I think would be helpful, because I think a lot of us are like that. We don't really fall into just one or the other.
I don't think I do. I'm a little all over the place. That's I try to find universal, humanistic, what's universally, what do people really need and want, or need, basic survival stuff or whatever, obviously. But then, what's the real higher, place or a higher, value or what am I trying to say? That the right, if you have an issue, what is the right thing overall? Like, like overall. And it's like, why is it, why are we still dealing with women's, right to have abortion or not abortion? Because people are thinking, oh, well, it's not right to kill a fetus. And I'm like, well, who's taking care of those babies when kids can't even get a meal or whatever, or they're starving someplace? And so it's like this whole thing. And I'm like, why are women dealing with this still now today, when we had the rights and we still have to fight it? So I don't even get it. I'm like, I don't know, not to get into that stuff.
No, it certainly doesn't bother me. I'm amazed at how, the thing I have a real difficult time with that is, you can have whatever opinion you have about it, but when we're going to talk legislating, legally,
a woman's body,
why,
like, no,
and that goes with so many things, but like in particular, that, like, it is to basically make somebody lesser, because there is no other situation where you'd be legally mandated to use your body to keep somebody alive. So
And my thinking, well, was a funny thing that I had seen on, I think my daughter might have posted it, but it
mhm.
was some meme that had suggested, well, vasectomies are reversible. Why don't we have all men, until they're responsible to be fathers, have a vasectomy and take care of that? And then if they want to have kids and they're responsible enough, then they can do that. And then it's like, oh, no, 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 no. Like the joke is, oh, no, 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 no. Then it would be like, something happening to their bodies that they don't want to tolerate. And I just thought that was like, oh gosh, that's kind of a little funny. I'm like, it's just, one flip the other.
Yeah.
When you bring in religion into it, which the Middle East is bringing religion into a lot of different things, why they treat women the way they do over there. And it's like, okay, maybe religion isn't really all the best thing for all, causes a lot of problems.
Well, yeah, especially when like the law is based on it. The multiple places we were over there, even if you weren't, because it's Sharia law, even if you weren't Muslim, you could get in serious trouble for eating or drinking in public during Ramadan.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it's really it makes you appreciate the separation we have here. Even if our predominant religion isn't as restrictive, it's still, it doesn't necessarily mean that the same majority is going to be the majority all the time. And it's all the more important that we make sure that the law stays secular.
Yeah, right. Wow. So do you see yourself, I mean, you've been a fighter for a long time. I mean, how many years now? When did you start?
Oh, I started training when I was 14. So it'll be 20 years next year.
And you've been competing all those years?
The whole time.
All those years. So 20 years of competition. And you still feel like, you're going to go for how many more years?
We'll see.
Honestly,
okay. I try not to put a date on it.
Yeah.
As long as I'm feeling good and motivated, like I can do it. And you've seen this when people retire, it's like they just know.
Yeah.
I'm done today.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to listen to that when you have that, because I think you can fight for a long time, but you can't train to fight for a long time. Training to fight requires a little bit more than actually just getting in there and fighting. And it is, like we were talking about earlier, really hard for people to not stay too long at the party. That thrill. Oh man, it's hard not to live with that thrill, especially if you've had it your whole life. It becomes such a big part of your identity.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason why I asked is, some fighters have said to me, it's like it's a finite career as a woman, and it depends on, like, do I want to have children? Do I, we talked about this actually before. So I was wondering, just because of your political aspirations, you're interested in global, like things that are happening in the world. Do you ever see yourself holding a political, like any sort of, position?
Oh man, I don't think so, just because of all the nonsense. I would love to do more. The saying, like, you vote with your money. Which I think is true. I think that has more power. I would love to actually get out there and do more for the stuff I believe in. Do more to make it to save animals, or to give people access to water. Things like that.
Oh, I know, that was just ridiculous. Yeah.
And that's something that when I don't have to lead such a regimented life, I look forward to doing.
Yeah.
But I don't think politics looks fun at all whatsoever. Even those who mean well,
right?
It just doesn't seem appealing.
I know. I had one of my boot campers. She's I actually don't know what her position is, but she's a local legislator or whatever in Boston, and she was like working some seriously mean hours, like just constantly on call, and it seemed super stressful, super nice, and you're always, it's very demanding, what you're doing for, you know, maybe your little sector in the town or wherever, you know, if you're in JP or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know how I'm glad to see women get involved in politics and doing this, and they're helping their communities and stuff. But it's super demanding. Yeah, it's amazingly demanding. So yeah, I can see where you would probably not, but you do have a mindset. You'd be very supportive too, probably somebody that you knew that was helping, you know, save dogs, you know. Yeah, you're a dog lover.
Of course.
Yeah. So how many dogs do you actually have?
I just have one.
Okay. You just love a lot.
Well, so we did some fostering, but he's 14 and he just wasn't having it, you know. So they got great homes, but I think we're gonna lay off for the remainder of his retirement years, you know. But yeah, like, you know, I still try to do some stuff for rescues and whatnot. I meet a lot of dogs when I travel, which is fun. Yeah. But yeah, he's poor thing. So he's sort of the quintessential, he was a puppy mill dog, and I was an idiot when I was 19 and I got him, you know, from a pet store. And he's had all kinds of health problems as a result of it. You know, he's happy now, but we had to have back surgery for him.
Oh, wow.
Got a heart murmur. You know, it's just been dental stuff. The poor little thing. And he's got the greatest temperament ever, but I just don't want to have a puppy in there and possibly have him get hurt or just be annoyed because the puppy's barking, you know. Right, exactly. He can chill for the time being.
Yeah. Wow. So you recently had a loss, didn't you? Your grandmother passed away or something?
Yeah.
Were you away when that happened, or were you home?
No, thank goodness I was home. Like I haven't been home much at all in the last 8 months or so, but I happened to be home. And it's interesting because she was ready, you know. You know how like older people will get there. I think 3 out of 4 of my grandparents got to a point where they said, I'm ready to go, you know. Wow. And she's Catholic, right? So she'd had her last rites a month prior and was on hospice. And she was in a little bit of pain toward the end, but I think she was at peace, you know. So it was good. She, you know, I'll definitely miss her, of course. She's kind of...
Sounds very spunky, like she had, like, you know, like
oh yeah, she talks shit to me and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she was a neat lady for sure.
Yeah. How did she feel about you going over and traveling and doing everything that you're doing now, even like all your fighting? And
you know, it's funny. So when I was young, too young to be dating as seriously as I was. And I was dating this guy who, we've all got one of those, you know what I'm talking about. You know the kind I'm talking about. Yeah. And she was just like, you know, you shouldn't marry him because your world will be too small. And she was right. You know, he was the kind of guy that tries to clip your wings a little bit.
Gosh, yeah, yeah.
And so I think she loves seeing it. You know, I think she loved sports, but she was born in the 30s.
Yeah, that generation. They didn't.
I think 30s, late 30s, early 40s. Regardless,
yeah.
She loved playing ball, but then it became, you know, that's not what girls
you're a girl,
do.
You can't. There's no opportunity.
Yeah, that's not what girls do. Yeah. So, you know, she was seeing one guy, and then ended up basically having an arranged marriage to my grandfather.
Oh,
wow. And I think she really enjoyed seeing not just me, but all my cousins living a life where it's like, no, you get to do what you want and pursue your aspirations because the world's open to you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where her advice came from, because she stayed home with 10 kids.
Wow.
So I think she just knew, for me, settling down with him would have been bad news. You know.
Well, there's always words of wisdom. They know. Grandma.
I know it, right?
Oh, man, they know. Wow. Yeah, they know. They've lived, and that generation too lived through a lot of, I mean, like through the world wars, you know, so they saw the Depression. They saw, so much,
Mm-hmm.
which are, well, I don't think our generations typically saw that. I mean, sure, we had a few bumps along the road with September 11th, and I mean, they're major bumps, but not like
not like, hey, we're all rationing our food because the country's going to war. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we bounce back really fast. It's not like we're, living in, a serious depression where people, like there's, you don't know if you're going to have a meal. Some families have it. Some people don't. And and you might not see your spouse for 5 years
Right.
because they were at war. They're on a ship. You don't know if they're alive or dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, interesting. So what pre-fight rituals do you have for this fight coming up?
I've really become so relaxed about things. What pre-fight rituals do I have? Just eating, make weight and eat, I guess.
What's your favorite thing to eat?
You know what I really like after weighing in is hitting a hibachi spot.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah, they're great, and it comes like slowly, so you kind of just, you have your little soup and your salad, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, you get entertained while you're eating too.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you, how was that massage? What type of massage did you get today, too? Speaking of being relaxed.
I think it was just like it wasn't a Thai massage, I guess. It was sort of like a Thai massage.
Mm.
She stretched me a little bit and like good pressure. I'm always so impressed when some little tiny person, is almost making you cry, but it's great.
Yeah. I was amazed at in Thailand, for instance, is when they would do the Thai massage and they would roll you but not just me. I mean, I'm not that big, but they would take a guy twice their size and roll him and have him in a ball. They'd roll him up and over, and you're like, how the heck? And I mean, I learned how to do that, and I'm like, how do you do that without squashing your toes and breaking something or whatever? Because I can remember trying to lift a guy up, and I'm like, what the hell? How do these women do it day in and day out?
Yeah, it's so impressive.
Oh my gosh! So that's great. So you had a mini little kind of Thai, somewhat stretched out. That's awesome. I love Thai massage. Or I mean, I know you didn't have Thai massage, but I love something that's like that.
No, it was perfect. Yeah.
Therapist that can stretch you out too, which is awesome.
Yeah, we've been hitting it hard up here, so it's nice to have a recovery day.
Yeah. So how have you, well, you just said you're relaxed, but what do you have to do to mentally prepare for this fight?
Honestly, it's just getting through the rest of camp. My coach makes it really mentally difficult.
Who's your coach now? Is it still Crew?
Crumpet? Yeah. Yep. So it's just getting through. I don't think about even the next workout. I think about I got to get through this one. And then I'll get through the next one. I try not to think how many days I have left. But I feel like once I make it through that, then whatever can happen, I'm ready for it. It's fine. So.
Yeah, you've been with him now for how long?
4 years or so.
Yeah, he's pretty. Now, how did you find him? Was he in Thailand or was he here? No,
he was in LA, and I sort of stumbled upon him.
Yeah.
Originally, I had met him when he was teaching at Boxing Works, but it was far away from where I was living. And then he was opening a gym with somebody else was opening a gym with him, rather. 15 minutes from my house where I lived in LA. Didn't really feel like I was making the kind of progress I had hoped. My career was kind of in the tank, and I'd moved to LA sort of as a last ditch effort. And then I had another fight and I lost again, and I just underperformed, and not even it was a good loss. It was a fight that I was winning, and then I let go. And I started training with him, and actually had a hard time getting a fight after that, unfortunately. But we trained straight through. And then eventually I ended up moving back to Minnesota when he moved up to NorCal, and just planned to commute basically, because paying LA rent is a joke, as you know, so dang expensive. If I was going to be traveling anyway, I was like, well, I'll just be based out of Minnesota maybe and bounce back and forth. So that's what I've been doing.
Wow.
Since then. Sometimes he'll come out too, but he's had his first child. So, oh man, I didn't tell you that his wife went into labor the day before my fight. So he couldn't be there in my last Invicta fight.
Oh, wow. You had a lot of things.
Insanity.
There. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So it was, I was like, all right, well, we'll make do, Yeah. And it turned out okay. But yeah.
I mean, you kicked her in the head and knocked her right out. Like, whoa, that was awesome.
Yeah. So, but it was, but yeah, it's been good. So we're just trucking along.
That's cool. So I got a fun question. If you could pick a fighter, if you could pick to fight anyone living or dead, who would it be?
Oh man. I would have liked to fight Lucia Riker.
Oh, wow. Other people have said that too before. I've heard that one before.
In a Muay Thai fight.
Is she a boxer or?
So she became famous as a boxer, but she was a kickboxer too.
Well, she was a kickboxer. I didn't know that about her.
Yeah, she was fighting, I think she was fighting men in Thailand.
Get out. Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah, she's no joke. But
picture her as a boxer and remember her in some movies, and she was a boxer.
I think pay was so much better. Women in women in kickboxing, Muay Thai don't make even close to what they're worth. Not even. Right. Even today, it's like it's just pitifully behind, and somebody needs to come in and amend that. So maybe that's something to do when I retire, right? But it's just, so I think there are a bunch of women who would be excellent kickboxers, but there's just not a home. I think Holly Holm's another one of them. Who would have a blast kickboxing if the pay was anywhere near the same.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, she's another one with those legs. I'm like, geez.
Yeah, so if you can fight boxing or MMA, that's what they're gonna do. The money's not there. It's not like you can make an okay living. And I think we were talking about this last time. You're seeing this in all kinds of because MMA is like one of the only professional sports where women make the same as men. It's drawing the best from everything.
Right.
Why on earth would they stay in jiu-jitsu if they could fight MMA and make, because the very best guy in jiu-jitsu probably makes a lot more than the very best girl.
Oh yeah.
Just like the very best boxer, the very best kickboxer, all the same.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're seeing like way higher level strikers, I think, sometimes coming in on the women's side more frequently because it's more than tenfold difference. Yeah. Why would you say,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're putting yourself, with potential harm and, you get a concussion or something like that from a head kick or a knockout or something like that. And then you got to come up with whatever medically.
Sure. And I mean, of course,
you're out of work. You're out of work for a while. You can't fight for a while. It's very, typically most people are only getting maybe 3 fights a year in MMA and kickboxing. I remember, back in 2000, maybe 8, before MMA was really getting, there was a lot of kickboxing opportunity out in California. There was nothing back here. And that was, there were even I think they had the videos that they were selling of these women, female kickboxers. And I can remember going to a couple shows here in New York because they had, I forgot what the promotion was. I don't even know if they still exist anymore, but they would have a lot, a lot of female kickboxers. And
that's cool.
That's where I met, Sylvie Von Douglas. And that was, there wasn't much of that happening. Now in Massachusetts, there is a promotion, No Boundary Fights. And I'm so psyched that they actually have somebody in Mass finally. that actually runs it, and they do a really good job, and they're promoting the women. Like a lot of the women that I know that kickbox have had the opportunity to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Times, which is huge. Huge, because it wasn't there it's been there maybe 3 years, 4 years now, and it's excellent.
That's cool. Yeah, and I think hopefully it continues to trickle down so that not just women, people in general, but especially women, because I think they've gotten the raw deal as far as kickboxing, Muay Thai go. Hopefully it keeps going that way so that they can, if that's their passion, it becomes a viable way to make a living. Now, I know there's some women making a living doing that, but it's that with the side hustles. It's that with the seminars. It's that, it's not. Yeah. Very few women.
They're not on the cereal box, like they're not being put on the cereal box for, like an Olympic athlete or anything like that.
Yeah.
Taekwondo, but you're not seeing, that really happen too much. And I like to see it. It'll come. It'll definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting.
So I got another fun question for you.
Okay.
If you were stuck on a deserted island, what 3 items, I think maybe I don't know where I saw this. What 3 items would you bring and why?
Oh, should I answer the practical?
You do what you want to do. You could. I have my A answer and my B answer. I don't know.
You'd bring a knife, of course. The smart person brings a knife, flint, and then, like some kind of saran wrap so you can make your own fresh water. But as far as sentimental attachment, it doesn't matter, right? There's no internet, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. I suppose, I don't know. Gosh, I'm so boring. I don't know what else I would bring. A couple of good books, I suppose.
Yeah, right. I don't know what I'd be. Maybe a favorite person to talk with or something,
Oh, if it can be a human.
Yeah.
I bring Ryan. I bring my little dog.
Yeah. I guess it would be that. But I did say items, so.
A boat. A little boat.
A boat with a paddle. With an
engine. Boat and an oar, yeah.
With an engine and gas, to get off.
Right.
Yeah. That would be it. With enough gas to get to the next, to get to civilization,
right?
Or something like that, or a sailboat or something. I don't know. Those would be the right answers, I think. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, if you could give your old self, 10 years ago, like your younger self, some advice, knowing what you know now. So your younger self, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give that younger Kaitlin?
Ooh, I would say to jump on pattern recognition earlier. So regardless, I think sometimes, like, it took me a really long time to go anywhere out of, I don't know, like out of loyalty, or I thought like maybe I was just doing something wrong, where sometimes it's just you need something different. I wish I would have left earlier. I wish I would have gone to Thailand earlier. And just for the fact that, okay, like regardless, if you keep trying the same thing over and over again, or having negative experiences, you're having not performing, get out of there and go figure it out, Yeah. And that's something I should have. It is one of the, better late than never. So I'm really glad that I went, but man, I wish I would have jumped on it at like 23, not 28,
Yeah. Try something different instead of repeating the same pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, we all know that, right? Like if we go once, same thing happens, twice, same thing happens. Okay.
It's like, duh. Light bulb.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
I know. I do that still. Like, I just got a light bulb one just the other day. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah.
I had a date, and the guy didn't. 2 dates, went out great times and stuff. Called me or texted me, let's go out Saturday. and then I said, I'll be back around noon thinking, we'll have a thing. And I'm like, like that, I'm going to text him. I did not this time. I'm like, because he blew me off. And I was like, that's the guy I want in my life.
Yep.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But my old self would be texting, hey, what are you doing? Being nice, sweet, and like whatever. And I'm like, no. That's the thing, being the nice and sweet thing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't need to be nice and sweet for a guy that doesn't have the respect to call me and say, hey, I had a change of plans or whatever.
No, no, hell no, you don't.
Yeah, not at all. So that's a nice little change thing.
Yep.
So who is your favorite female MMA fighter and why?
Ooh. Man, that is a tough one because
so many
I like different things about a lot of people.
Yeah. Maybe who inspired you the most? Maybe, over like, as you yourself were coming up being a fighter.
I'm going to go with the first question. Man, that's just such a damn difficult one. There are a lot that I like. But really, I think, I really feel like Megumi Fuji does not get enough notoriety or respect. Like, she's so good, and she's coaching now.
Really?
Like, it's crazy we don't hear about it much.
Yeah, that is crazy because she's old. I mean, like, she's around a while back, and so you kind of, there's so many new fighters coming up, and I think even the new fighters don't even remember or know her, or maybe not even know her name, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I even like, oh yeah.
I'm gonna pull this up now. She had an 18 fight. Or no, it was like a 21 fight win streak with 18 subs. And, people, that was before the division was really development. She was fighting up a lot of the time because she couldn't get matched. Like, that girl could have made probably 105, I bet.
Yeah.
This makes me want to look now. Sorry, am I messing up our mojo? Hang on. Yeah. That and Shayna Baszler, who I happen to be pretty good friends with, but she I remember the first MMA event I went to, it was called The Breakout. It was all women's show, randomly held in Minneapolis, and she spiral fractured a girl's arm with some sub she made up that night.
Wow.
She calls it the swing. It's a chicken wing.
The chicken wing, yeah.
Shayna's chicken wing. Yeah. Let's see here. They were both on that card, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, she went 22-0.
Yeah, she had an incredible.
With 18 submissions.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And she fought some really tough women, too. Like, really tough.
And she was fighting all the way up at 125. Like, she's not little.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
she's amazing.
It's one of those, it's like, man, just born 10 years too early.
Yeah.
Because,
Exactly.
So,
but she paved the way, like she paved the way. I mean, we needed those fighters, to pave the way. You're another one. You came a little bit after some of these, but you're one of those that have paved the way for a lot of women that are fighting now. And
I'm lucky to still be in it and still be, enjoying some of the benefit of that. Because you're right. I'm in like sort of a weird intermediate
you are
area.
Yeah.
Like me, Misha.
Yeah.
There are a few others that are in this sort of weird spot.
And I mean, she was, and of course, Cyborg, and she's been around for.
Yeah, Cyborg's about the same.
Oh,
where you've got like Julie and Tara and Shayna were a little bit earlier, so it's.
Yeah, and most of them have, hung up the gloves, I think.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's another weird thing that's starting to happen is most people, like we were looking at the first Invicta photo shoot popped up in my feed the other day, and I was like, all these women have retired except me and Leslie, I think. Every one of them.
Was it Leslie Smith?
Yeah.
Wow, I saw her fight out in, I don't know if it was Illinois or something, on forgot the girl's promotion, but it was an all-girl. It was before even Invicta. And I
Uh-huh.
forgot the woman who held it. She was the only one that held like a couple of them. And I remember seeing her fight and I was like, holy crap, she's good. You know, like
Yeah.
this is before anybody really knew who she was or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But yeah, she was like crazy. There was actually a few fighters that came from that promotion. I can't for the life of
Was
me.
it Black Eye, maybe?
No, it wasn't anything. It was a woman that ran it. I can't remember her name. I'll think of it later and I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
why couldn't I? I'm sorry, I can't
Yeah.
remember your name. It was a while back. It's just there's so much that has gone down over the years now. But she held her own promotion, and I think her boyfriend at the time was helping her with it. But she had all these women that you know, actually got into and were fighting right around the same time you were, and coming up through MMA, and this is when things were getting hot, and then Ronda Rousey came onto the scene,
Yeah.
and all that. So it was a great thing to have happen for sure. So I have two more questions.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm gonna let you go, but this one's kind of a funny one. That's gonna put you on the spot a little bit. But what female fighter do you love to hate and why?
Well, right now, I fucking hate Zara for pulling out on me twice. But I don't, you know, I know it's so boring, right? Like, I don't really hate anybody that I can think of. I like most of them.
Yeah.
But you got to figure, too, like, these are people you have an awful lot in common with,
Mm-hmm.
like, more than you'd even like to think sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of also stay out a lot of the drama, but apart from when somebody puts me in a shitty spot like she did, that makes me fucking really angry. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Apart from that, like, whatever.
Yeah.
They're business partners to me. So.
Right. Yeah. So who put you in the shitty spot?
Oh, pulling out on a week's notice.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Without it being like, I broke my arm, or, you know, like a real reason.
Yeah. You don't know what the reason was, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is that those sorts of things end up showing up later on too with other fights. I think if they're not genuine.
I agree. Yeah, and sometimes it is. Sometimes they're totally legit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and we don't know.
I try not to get too hot about it, because you never know. Sometimes it's stuff too that is really, really personal, or personal medical stuff that they just don't want out there. I get it. So
yeah.
So I don't get too fired up usually.
Yeah. So what does it mean to be female to you in this day and age?
You know, I've said this before. I guess I don't. I try to put myself in a position where I don't have to think about it that much.
Good.
You know, around people who just take you for who you are, and in professions where you just do your thing. Mm-hmm. But it is. But what I see from other people, it does seem really challenging. I think there's a lot of pressure on women to kind of be everything. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the beautiful things is with the changes in women's rights is we can do anything. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, no, you got to pull everything off by yourself, and it's difficult to do everything well. You can't be you can't only chase so many rabbits, right? Yeah. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. If I would like to see more of that, more women being more accepting of themselves and others. Mm-hmm. To just, it's okay to chase your one rabbit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you see being a female has evolved in our culture and sports over the course of your life?
Oh, tremendously. So, of course, people are always going to talk about physical appearance, but there's far less of that and far more discussion of ability, mm-hmm. which is great. It's about damn time.
Yeah.
And I think even just seeing, and maybe this is in part because we now have the ability to shape so much of our media influence.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, if you're into CrossFit and stuff like that, those are the kind of bodies that are showing up in all your feeds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say one body is better than another, but you don't have to constantly, when we were young, it was just like TV, magazines, and whatever any women around you were saying, basically.
You're so right. You're so on with this. Wow. Yeah.
I
didn't even think of that, but it's so true. I can remember looking at Teen Magazine. You're like, I want a body like that.
Well, that's like your own thing where now you can, I feel like, there are definitely some negative things about social media,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the really positives is that I think there actually is getting to be more body acceptance. At least it seems that way to me, where it's like
Absolutely.
there's not one way to be hot, because there isn't. This like if you look at men that you think are good looking, that's absolutely true, right? There's not only one type. So and furthermore, is just not worrying so much about how you look and more about what you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely has happened. Definitely different conversation happening now today, even with women.
Yeah.
Women among women. It's not even like,
totally. Yep.
And that's where it has to be, because I think women are their own kind of worst enemies sometimes, being catty with one another, or being, she's, like just talking really badly about another woman because of whatever. I get if there's issues and you have a legitimate,
there's like some kind of beef. Yeah.
Yeah. But if not, and then you're just being catty, and just because you're like jealous or something like that, then those things, they got to go. It's like,
no, and you're right. I think it's sort of becoming less and less tolerated by women in general. It's kind of like, when you hear it, just, I think more and more women are becoming like averse to hearing it and averse to saying it. It seems that way. I can't tell though. Is it that, or is it that
you're changing?
You have more control over your circle now.
Right. Yeah. It's probably a little bit of both. But when you're an influencer, which I would think you are, you write a blog. You are very, you're on your social media a lot, so people are observing what you're doing in your life. So You're setting somewhat of an example, even though it might not be your intention to do that, but you are, you're out there. And so you're going to attract what you're putting out there. And if you're putting out good stuff, you're going to attract that good kind of around you. And then it's just going to hopefully just, expand.
Right. Yeah, no, it is interesting. For sure. And I have a couple of blogs going about some gendered type things. Because man, it is fascinating. It's fascinating too, like how much, even if we don't want to partake in those things, like for instance, it makes absolutely no sense for me to have long hair. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. But I think it looks better. Why? Because you know what I mean? It's stupid. I know it's stupid. Same with shaving my legs. It's a good way to get a staph infection. I still shave my legs.
Yeah.
Like I know it's ridiculous, but it's things I associate with being
a female, like being a woman, being feminine.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. You look at Thug Rose, man, she shaved her head, and then
I get it, yeah.
And but you see her with hair, and I'm like, wow. And then not hair, I'm like, she's still a wow, but like it's like, it's like she's doing her job, you know, and she's
not the concern.
She doesn't have to deal with the hair.
But it is amazing too, like we were talking about how much, I don't even want to say pushback, but just what a common, when you see any kind of forum post about her or anything, like what a common, that hair is brought up all the time. So I think it's
I don't even know, but
it is.
I think
she's like
when you look at just the complete difference of like complete
how it appears.
And then shaved head, she's still a beautiful woman, but she's not looking as you know, like it's like who was the one Charlene Theron when she was in that Mad Max movie. We know what she looks like. I mean, superstar, gorgeous model, whatever, you know, like just beautiful, like whatever.
Mhm.
And then she's got the head shaved off, and I was like, wow, so like, you know, but still like can be feminine and tough, and it's a different type of beauty, but we're gonna be like,
but as far as like fitting traditional standards, right? and that's the weird thing, right? Like knowing it's stupid for me to have long hair, but I do, you know. So it's and we all have that crap. But I think it's fascinating. It's a fascinating thing to explore, and like, you know, obviously if we're doing it with our parents, we're probably doing it with other things too.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely, totally. I think of I can remember years ago when my sister had to shave her head. She had brain tumors, and
oh no,
she's deceased. She's been gone for about 10 years now, but I can remember the struggle of having to shave her head, and I'm like, fortunately at the time there was some show on TV that a woman had to shave. There was a woman with a shaved head, and she had really short hair. I'm like, you know what? She's beautiful. You can look just like that and wear some really funky earrings and you'll look great. Forget putting the hat over your head and all that. Yeah. Getting a wig. And at the time the wigs weren't that great. But, you know, her, and she carried it off like, you know? So I was like, you know, and there's so many things that we can do now today to be feminine, not to be feminine, or look, you know, completely feminine. We can just just be
your damn self. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yep. It's awesome. So you have this major fight coming up, June 7th. You're going to face Faith I want to say
I know.
McMah. And then, is there any shout outs you'd like to give to maybe her or any of, you know, your sponsors, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hooking it up with her. And then my sponsors have been amazing, especially through the insanity of this past year. So thank you to Zebra Mats and Menacing Valor and Redwood Muay Thai. Jay and Jamie up there have been super helpful. And then, of course, my coaches are amazing. You know, Firm Pet's been helping me out, and Levi Cope this camp. But when I'm back home, I'm boxing with Alfonso Vasquez a lot. And, you know, I miss my teammates at home, the Diversa team, and Ryan and my dog, but it's getting done, so I'm excited to get to Kansas City and do it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. We've been trying to get this interview going for a little while. I could talk with you for hours, I'm sure.
I know. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish you well in your fight. Can't wait to see you actually fight again, so I'm looking forward to it. June 7th. So thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, you take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, I'd like to thank Kaitlin Rose Young for being on the show. If you'd like to learn more about her, you can check out our previous interview, episode number 40, with Kaitlin Rose Young, Hard Prioritizing Your Goals, where Kaitlin discusses going back to her roots with Muay Thai boxing and stepping back into the cage. And once again, she will be fighting on June 7th at Invicta FC 35 against Faith McMah from New Zealand, who I will be having on my next show, episode 60. So if you like what you heard today and are eager to hear more, never miss an episode from Evolve WMMA with moi, Shelley Devine, by remembering to subscribe and download on iTunes, or you know, you can listen while doing other things. So you could find us at Automatic, Shout Engine, and Spotify at Evolve Women's MMA. Or if you prefer to watch, you can find a new episode on YouTube at Women's MMA. So if you really enjoyed the episode, please leave a review because it helps people find the show. And on the review, mention Kaitlin and, you know, how she inspired and motivated you. You can leave your review at my blog at evolvewmma.com. So go ahead and leave a comment or a review on iTunes. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And lastly, if nothing else, you can simply follow us at facebook.com/I love WMMA. This is Shelley Kahn. Until next time, thanks for listening. Okay. I got that one.